it's November 18th, I believe. And yes, thank you for joining me. I'm Raven, and I'm also apologizing for my cold, the construction, what have you. But we're going to roll with it because persistence. And yeah, let's get into it. I'm doing a new video setup today as well. So this is our spread for this day. I'm just doing a past, present, and possibilities today. Past, present, future, if you will. So we have the Hermit, and this is in the position of the past. The Nine of Earth, meaning, of course, the Nine of Pentacles. And the Four of Earth, meaning the Four of Pentacles. This is the Good Tarot, by the way. I really like this. This is beautiful, beautiful art. So right away in the position of the past, we have the Hermit, which is our only major arcana card in this particular draw, meaning that the past is going to be heavy in this day, or maybe light, but extremely present, extra present. You know, maybe it'll be consequences of what have gone before in one way or the other. Maybe it'll come up joyfully. Maybe it'll be a connection. Maybe it will be some grief. Who knows? But this will give us a little context, of course, that it's the Hermit. So this is a pretty interesting depiction of the Hermit. It's sort of a beautiful monastic door with some keys hanging in front of it, which is interesting because the Hermit is kind of anti-monastic. He's exposed to the elements. He's walking around the mountainside, kind of bushwhacking his own way, and that points to for today, whatever part of the past that has been that way for us, like has felt like we've had to create a path of our own without having anyone to walk it before us, and to do it with some kind of like isolation and a great amount of courage and a great amount of not knowing whether or not you're lost. I always kind of feel like the Hermit relates back to the Fool, like where the Fool is naive on its path of self-realization. When you get to the Hermit is more self-possessed on that same path, and the gravity of the path is kind of hit in the whole arc of the tale of the major arcana. I do appreciate this, though. I feel like this locked door with all of the keys in front of it is basically, it's interesting. I want to sit with that for a while. It's like all of your solutions are there before you, and there's kind of a process of trying them out one by one to see how to move forward. And there is something about that in the same way with the Rider-Waite in the traditional, and all of the traditional major arcana depictions, where you have someone holding a lantern and having to do things step by step and not knowing what is coming before. So that part of our past is present today. Let's see how. Pardon me. So the present, we have the Nine of Earth. Ooh, that's a delicious one. I like it. So the Nine of Pentacles is the lady in the garden with the falcon on her shoulder, and it's, I mean, talk about self-possession and kind of having arrived into your environment. I'm curious, though, what this person has to say about it. Discipline, self-reliance, reliable resources, restraint, and control, the final stone placed in a foundation. Well, that certainly relates to the discipline of the hermit. We've built up this discipline, and it's reverberating into the present in this sense of arrival. And this, we've gone through kind of a process of discovery, and it's coming through, reverberating into this day in a sense of having our kind of story with us. It's interesting. She's got like all of these discs around her, but to me they feel like almost little encapsulated lessons that she's learned along the way. And of course, nines are only one step before the end of the story. So at the 10 of every suit, we arrive at sort of the end of one thing in a very definitive way. And a 9 is an earthly kind of card as well. It's Malkuth. It's where, is it Malkuth? Am I wrong about that? It's been a long time since I looked at any Sephiroth. Anyway, a 9 is, a 9 of earth is of this world in a really concrete way, at the same time as just being sort of like internally at peace with the process. That's just lovely. Okay, and then we have another earth, another pentacles on the other side, and it's the 4. The 4 of earth. Let me see this. Ooh, it's a fairy, and she's offering a moth, I think. So the traditional view of this is the guy with his pentacle coins kind of grasped around him. His feet are on one, and then he's grasping another one, and they're all kind of boundarying him. And one way to look at this card traditionally is to think of it as it kind of acting and reacting out of a place of lack and sort of a hoarding mentality. And another, I would say that is the shadow side of this card. And the essence, the counsel in the card is actually about boundaries, and good boundaries, especially around health and the body, wealth and prosperity. I'm interested what they have to say about it, though. This cool new deck. The 4 of earth here is ownership, the beauty of divine order, and trusting in a solid foundation. Even if I am shaken up and unable to understand why things happen as they do, I know for certain that divine order manifests in all aspects of my life. So that's pretty different. I think that, yeah, that's it. That's different, and I'm going to go with it. I like it. I like it a lot. So I'm not quite sure how to relate that to personal boundaries, which is how I usually read this. But it's sort of a card of faith in this series. A card of, kind of a card of story again. So you're sort of like moving forward without having a story. And then here you have your story gathered around you in the present. And then in the future, you kind of have, this is in the position of possibilities. So I feel like this is hard to see in your view. So in the position of possibilities, we have that story kind of maybe challenged. I feel like this might be a bit of a possibility of a challenge coming out of this place of feeling contextualized, and then having on the other side of that, as usually happens, as the next lesson in the Wheel of Fortune comes around, we have another opportunity to get that trust and faith online that that I don't know, that the universe is supporting on sometimes rather brutal level. That said, we're not talking about the Tower here. We're talking about something kind of small. I want to read a little bit more about what she says. What I have built rests on a solid foundation, so there is no need to fear. While it is true that nothing is permanent in the material world, I find security in the existence of a divine plan. So it's about security. Spirit is always there to remind me that I am exactly what I am meant to be for my highest good and the highest good of all, and that I have abundance available with me. So I do feel like this is about material security, which is what that boundary lesson is about as well. And that I am exactly where I am meant to be for my highest good. That I always have abundance available to me. Anyway, this is cool. It's a new kind of reflection on this card. So let's kind of tie it all together and see what happens. The Hermit is reverberating, rippling into the present day today from the past. I'm really feeling this is a personal story. Sometimes I read these as sort of collectives. But in this case, I feel like notice on this day how you're able to reflect into the recent past and just into your story, into your spiritual story in particular, and how that reverberates especially into your material world, maybe into your work, and maybe into your health. So yeah, this has been a series of challenges and some interior discipline that is paying out today in the availability of some sense of arrival and sort of like a sense of perspective, being able to see the fruits of the labor, of the fruits in the garden that you've now arrived into and crafted by all the faith that went into the journey of the hermit. And so that is the 9 of earth. There's a real sense of connection outwards into the oneness here. In the other card, there's a hawk or a falcon. And in this one, she's holding like a sprig of flowers. And I feel like in both of those, that just means that this person has found within them like the interior still place, let's call it their spirit animal or their spirit plant, which is the portal, the connection outward. You know, it's basically the reflection and connection within the field of oneness. And that's where that peace comes from. And then going forward from that, we have the possibility of kind of finding security and maybe having our security challenged, and then that being an opportunity to like learn our own foundations on a newer, deeper level. You know, once you've been through these things and you're having to just kind of count your foundation stones again, you sort of peel back the layer of having faith in the order of things, having faith in that this story is what it was meant to be, to bring you to this place, or all of these branching places coming out of here. If we're looking at a linear visage, these are of course spiralic, but you know what I mean. All right, I'll give it a rest. I'll give my voice a rest. I'm so grateful that you listened to this today, and I'll see you tomorrow. I would love for you to subscribe and comment. Tell me how this is resonating with you today, especially this one. I'm curious how, if anyone is feeling this hermit energy kind of coming up from the past into today and how that feels. Thank you so much. Blessed be. I'll see you tomorrow.